Hindi pangita ka rin.
Just at the floor of the furnace and has a temperature of 2300 degrees Fahrenheit. It also has the consistency of honey or treacle. And that's why we're constantly turning the pipe to keep that glass centered. If we stop turning, the glass wants to run to the ground. You can also see that glass is glowing that bright orange color. That's due to the intense heat. This tool is called a block. The block is made from a piece of fruit wood, and the wood is cut green and remains in water for the life of the tool. And that water not only keeps the wood from burning, but also creates a layer of steam for the glass to glide on. Once again, I'll blow into the pipe, trap the air with my finger. The trap there heats up and expands that bubble further into the color and clear. So here we have that first gather, and the color's been expanded slightly into that first gather. So not only am I showing you the color and the first gather, but I'm also allowing it to cool. We need this first gather to be slime glass. It's 75% silica or sand, 10% soda ash, and 15% lime. We're using that larger size block to cool and shape it. Now we need to make sure everything's evenly heated, so we'll use this reheating furnace. As the glass is touched by a cold surface, or as it begins to cool, we always return back to that furnace to bring it back up to a working temperature. Start to expand that bubble further. We also use the margarine table to cool the bottom. This helps keep the bottom of our vase or bowl a little bit thicker and more stable.
Margarine.
This tool is called the jacks. And the jacks cut a constriction just past the end of the pipe called a neckline. And this is where it will separate during the transfer a little bit later. You can also begin to see the pattern a little more prominent now that it's expanded. Now we're selectively heating the bottom half of that sphere inside the heat. And in just a second, we're actually going to elongate just the bottom half by using centrifugal force. freehand glass blowing. If this same vase would have been made in the glass industry, it would have been blown into a mold to give it its size and shape. Now, since no molds are used, I use gravity, centrifugal force, along with 20 years of experience. This is a paddle-lit newspaper, and it allows us to shape and cool the glass. So I have a gather of clear glass on a separate pipe. We're shaping that glass a little bit, and I'll cut a line into it, or constriction, and we'll apply that to the bottom of the vase to make a foot.
There he cut that gobble glass onto the bottom of the vase form, and he will be using 2 pieces of wood that are hinged. These are also made out of cherry wood, cut green and remain in water for the life of the tool. What he's doing is he's spinning a foot onto the bottom of the vase. Going to turn the edges of the foot down slightly so that the piece can stand up nicely and create a dome. And in that dome, that will accept glass on this solid pipe that's called a punty or pontoir, which is French for bridge. It's this pipe that leaves that characteristic puntal mark on the bottom of all of the handmade glass, all of the signed handmade glass that you see here in the studio this afternoon. Taking a pair of tweezer-like tools called the pincers is attached to the bottom, making sure that it's nicely centered. On the bottom of this Oriental Signature Series piece of glass that he's making for you, he's taken some water that he's putting on that neckline, which was created earlier on in the process. Pipe hitting the pipe and that percussion caused the piece where the water was added, created a weak spot and separated from the blowpipe. So he's now heating the mouth of the piece in the glory hole. And every once in a while, you'll see him put the piece all the way in. This is to bring heat to that punctal juncture. There's just that small bit of glass that's holding the piece to the end of the iron. And if that becomes too cold, the piece can fall off before it's finished. If this piece of glass were being made in an industrial situation, there would be a number of individuals, each with a responsibility in creating a piece of glass that would ultimately be blown into a mold to give it its size, its shape, and its form. Each of those glass blowers in that industrial situation are highly skilled as a collective group. However, no one of them would be able to do what you're watching Josh do here this afternoon, which is make a piece of glass from beginning to end by oneself. All of these techniques that you've been watching Josh utilize are what we refer to as freehand or offhand techniques. Now, if you'd like to purchase this piece of glass that you're watching being made, or if you'd like to purchase some of the glass that you have to see on our shelf or on our ropes, we do take the King's MasterCard. We accept the Queen's Lady Visa, we will take checks, and we'll even accept your cash. But for this piece in particular, not able to take it with you because it has to go into the oven, either the annealing or tempering oven, when it's finished, to hold it for the rest of the working day. And at the end of the working day, that oven will be turned off and all of the glass will be allowed to cool slowly overnight. In the morning, we'll come out, take the pieces out, sign them, and the pieces will be sent to you by the king's cousin, Uncle Sam. The other pieces of glass that you see in the studio here, we're happy to hold those for you until you're ready to leave today.
Yeah, let's do a ruffle.
Or you can use the fluter.
I think I might use the fluter, but I got that spot straight with a ruffle.
Okay, so he's going to finish by using an Italian technique, so pay attention to Josh and the piece of glass that he has.
So here we have the handkerchief drop. Comes from an Italian technique using gravity, centrifugal force, and the ductility of the glass. Give us that ruffled shape. We hope that you've enjoyed the demonstration. We also hope that you've learned a little something during the demonstration. If you have additional questions, or we may be of sales assistance, you're more than welcome to stay with us. We'd be happy to help you with those custom orders and purchases. We do trust that you're enjoying your day at the Renaissance Festival. Thank you for being with us.